What's up everyone, welcome to my builds video on Razor today. We are going to be talking about talents, Constellation, what weapons you can use with him for a free to play, as well as if you do get lucky, and then some of the artifacts go along with him. Let's go ahead and get started with this. Alright, now let's talk about his talents first. So the first one we have is Claws and Thunder, and this has a press and a hold mechanic. So on press, Razor deals electro damage to enemies in front of him, and upon strike, Razor will gain an electro sigil, which increases his recharge rate. Razor can have up to 3 sigils simultaneously, and getting a new sigil refreshes the duration. On the hold attack, it's going to unleash a lightning storm over a small AoE, causing massive electro damage, and clears all of his electro sigils. Each sigil cleared in this manner will be converted into enemy for Razor. So on the press, it's going to increase his recharge rate, but then on the hold, it's going to consume it into energy and basically help build his Q ability. Then you have Lightning Fang. This is his Q ability. Strikes alongside Razor's normal attack, dealing electro damage. So this is when he like wolfs out. It raises Razor's attack speed and electro resistance. Causes Razor to be immune to damage inflicted by electro charge status. Disabled Razor's charged attack, so you can only use his basic attack, and it increases his resistance to being interrupted. These effects end when Razor leaves the battlefield. The nice thing about Razor's Q ability is that when you do leave the field, a maximum of 10 energy will be returned to him based off the duration remaining on his skill. So if you leave the ability early, you can have some of that returned to you so you don't have it completely wasted. This helps typically when fights end very quickly after going into that form. His Awakening ability decreases the Claw and Thunder's cooldown by 18%, and using his Lightning Fang, his Q ability resets the cooldown of his E ability. Then you have Hunger, which this is on Ascension 4. When Razor's energy is below 50%, it increases his recharge percentage by 30%, so you don't actually have to put any energy recharge on him. And then his passive talent increases stamina consumption by 20%. He has an amazing kit. Nothing that he has is ineffective. Now let's talk about his Constellation. We have Wolf's Instinct, which picking an elemental orb or particle increases his damage by 10% for 8 seconds. Since he is constantly creating particles with his ability, this is going to proc quite often. Then you have Suppression, which increases his crit rate against enemies with less than 30% HP by 10%. And this is extremely useful with Wolf's Gravestone weapon because you also increase your attack percentage when the enemy has less than 30% HP. And you have Soul Companion. This is just going to increase the ability by 3. You have Bite. When casting Claw and Thunder, his E ability on press, enemies hit will have their defense decreased by 15% for 7 seconds. This is the best part of the kit in my opinion because there is very minimal ways to be able to get this without having Superconduct in your party with an Electro unit and a Cryo unit. So when you have his 4th tier ability, this will help you supplement if you don't have an Ice character or Cryo character in your lineup. This will allow you to remove them and put something else there if you would prefer. Sharpened Claws, that increases the ability. And then we have Constellation 6, Lupus Vulgaris. Every 10 seconds, Razor's sword charges up, causing the next normal attack to release lightning that deals 100% of Razor's attack as electro damage. When Razor is not using Lightning Fang, a lightning strike on an enemy will grant Razor an electro sigil for Claw and Thunder. This is going to be broken. I cannot wait to have this. Personally, this is pretty nuts because you essentially have a constant buildup happening as he's on the field, and you don't have to use his ability to proc some form of electro damage. It will automatically happen when this occurs, which not very many characters have that unless you do a charge up attack as a bow or you have a mage type class. Now let's talk about the weapons. Now I was bringing up the Wolf's Gravestone before. If you are lucky enough to get that weapon, that would be the choice I would go with because it is amazing. I tried to go through it on this banner and I lost a lot of money doing that, so we don't want to talk about that, but
I'm gonna cry.
That would be the best in slot, currently anyways. And then let's go over some free-to-play options. Bait Club won it all for me because it increases the attack percentage, and the special skill is after using an elemental skill, which he does quite often. Normal or charged attack deals an additional 120% attack damage within a small radius on hit. He is built on attack percentage early game anyways, and just based on his build, he doesn't do as much electro damage as he does physical damage. So this effect can last 15 seconds. Damage can only occur once every 3 seconds. So this is something that happens over time, up to 5 times over over that period. If you do build Razor on a crit build, you could potentially do this if you really needed to, but his energy recharge on its own is pretty good. It doesn't really need it. I've seen some people use the bell, which I don't really think this does anything for him. I do think Sacrificial Greatsword would be the better choice between this and the bell if you do get it, just because you do have energy recharge. After damaging an opponent, you can proc the skill cooldown 40% at base rate. This will happen pretty frequently. He gets it pretty often. So then you have Prototype Aminus. This is going to be the best free-to-play option because you can craft this weapon to boost it up. I have it refined to rank 2. On hit, normal and charged attacks have a 50% chance to deal an additional percentage of attack damage to enemies within a small AoE every 15 seconds. So this is a really nice ability. Now let's go ahead and talk about the artifacts. So some people have built him with a Thunder Fury set, gives an electro damage bonus plus 15%, and then once you have it as a 4-piece, it increases the damage caused by the elemental reactions that involve electro. So you have electro charge, superconduct, and overloaded. Primarily, most people run him on a superconduct build because it increases his physical damage ability. Using a cryo unit like Chi-Chi or Kaya would be a really good use for this because then he could use superconduct. This increases the ability or how much damage it does. It doesn't increase the effect it has on the defense reduction, but it just helps him do a little bit more damage on the elemental side, which in my opinion, I don't see him getting a lot of benefits from that, but if you have some factual information to reinforce that, please comment it below. The set that I have him running on right now is Gladiator's Triumphus, and this is the 2-piece set, attack percent plus 80%, and since he uses a claymore on the 4-piece, he gets a normal attack damage by 35%, which it works great for him because again, he's built on physical damage. In his Q ability, his wolf side, you will be able to do physical damage and electro damage at the same time, and you will notice that the electro damage is scaled a lot less than the physical damage on him. I have seen some people have tried to test this, they just weren't getting the same numbers, but again, if you know something that, if you have some proof that show that that actually works better, please again, comment by all means. Some team comps that I run Razor with personally is I use Razor, Chi-Chi, Zhongling, and Venti. This is my primary lineup. If I need a fire unit, it kind of gives me what I need for the dungeons because they usually require you to have 2 to 3 elements. Then if I am going for pure damage and I don't need fire, this is my best lineup because Fischl's Oz ability just does so much damage and it helps me continue to proc Superconduct, which helps boost Chi-Chi and Razor together. And then Venti is reducing their elemental resistance. I typically use Razor as my primary in slot for DPS tank, and I think he's a fantastic unit. He's free to play friendly because you can get him from the Masterless Starglitter shop, which I actually made a video on, so if you want to check that out, I'll card it above. It resets every 30 days. We have a refresh coming in 7 days, so you still have some time to pick him up if you haven't already. It's only 34 Masterless Starglitter, and then on the reset, this last one, he actually was put back in here, so I'm hoping that they'll continue to do that so that you can build his Constellation up. That would be extremely useful, and they should continue to do that with new characters, and personally I think they should start doing that with 5-star characters as an additional way of the pity system, but that's just me. So anyways, if this helped you, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more builds like these. I will continue to do some build videos on this. Past that point though, I really think that there's a lot of information out there about this that has been changing over time, or there's just a lot of wrong information out there. So again, if you know something that, if there's a good resource for people to show builds and damage output, I definitely recommend checking out Jinx, which I'll go ahead and post his information in the video description, as well as there was a Redditor that created a Google Doc that kind of min-maxed a lot of the damage output and certain builds and things like that. I also have another video on this if you want to check into this on elemental reactions, but I'll go ahead and post their information in the link as well. There's also, it's part of another website called Genshin.cc. Again, thank you so much for checking out this video and sticking along with me today, and I will see you in the next one.